Hello and welcome to the CRM Zen Show, where we talk about all things Zoho. This is episode 167, Learn Zoho Learn, recorded on Friday, October 8th, 2021 from Zenata Consulting. I'm Brett Martin.
And I'm Tyler Colt, and let's get right on into the show.
All right, everybody, as we've mentioned before, we've got our webinar coming up. It's on Zoho Workdrive. That'll be October 19th at 10 a.m. And as always, if you want to head over to zenata.com/events, you will find basically all of the webinars, walkthroughs, tutorials, everything we can find. We go ahead and we drop it in here. So that's kind of your great place for events. And with that, and talking about events, Tyler, Zoho announced yesterday, as we get into the news here, that they're going to be doing a Zoholics at home. And this will be streaming live 10 a.m. Pacific time on Tuesday, November 16th. It's going to be short, going to be an hour long. And it basically is got a little welcome note for 5 minutes. And then we're going to have a little company vision for about 20 minutes with Sridhar, a product vision with Raju for another 20 minutes. And then we're going to have a little customer panel that's going to run for 30 minutes and then some closing notes. So it should be a good time. I guess a little PSA here. When you register, for some reason, you're just getting like this really short, terse email that comes in. And you'll need to actually go ahead and add this to your calendar, because as of yet, we've never gotten anything with confirmations, with links, with anything. It's just an email that says what your form has been submitted or something.
Yep, it's pretty quick.
pretty eclectic. So put the date on your calendar, block the time off. I'm sure that the reminder with links and everything will be following shortly. But that's good. I hope we get a live Zoholics next year in Austin, Texas. That would sure be a lot of fun. But who knows? Who knows if that's going to happen? But it looks like we're almost at the end of all this, and Texas is pretty open, so that's a good sign. All right, and let's get right on into the news then. Zoho SalesIQ 2.0 gets a new chat window. This is a complete revamp of chat, and it looks pretty good, Tyler.
And this, I think, to highlight too, this has been out since they put out the SalesIQ 2.0. They're kind of just highlighting the difference here. Basically, it's breaking out your chats into more different categories. So rather than just having one window where, basically will tell you that, all of your chats are going into one place. Now you're able to see a couple different things about the chats. You can filter them by, which ones are mine, which ones are missed, closed, all those different types of identifiers. Got a little separate tab on the right-hand side for widgets, so you can get a little more space for the operator view as you're actually working on it. So just kind of highlighting here the new functionality with 2.0, kind of just giving you a lot more, right? Attach a file, submit this, pull up a widget, look into Zendesk, right? A variety of these different either custom or pre-built integration widgets that are all just kind of part of one chat experience now.
Pretty nice. SalesIQ 2.0, if you haven't followed it, we covered it in depth, kind of a major overhaul of SalesIQ. And it does so much more than chat, but this is super, super, super nice. So good job, SalesIQ team. And with that, Gamescope has officially left us, Tyler. So basically, if you're unfamiliar, actually Motivator is officially gone. It was Zoho Motivator, and are they called? It's funny, they're end of lifing Gamescope. So that's what used to be in the CRM.
Yeah, so they used to have Gamescope in the CRM, which Gamescope was just kind of like badges. It didn't really have like reporting and metrics. It was like, oh, you converted 10 leads. Here's the lead master badge. And then they had a separate application called Zoho Motivator, which only worked with the CRM basically to give some of those, basic KPIs. So what they did is they killed Zoho Motivator, the standalone application, rebuilt Motivator within the CRM. And up until now, you basically had the choice of using Gamescope or Motivator. I think what they're finding is that Motivator is pretty much better in all facets. So they're just going to be phasing out Gamescope and kind of pushing you towards using Motivator instead.
So you've got, I guess, 23 days left of Gamescope if you haven't already moved over to Motivator, and then that's gone. And I think the original standalone Motivator already was end of life, wasn't it?
Yep.
Pretty sure. All righty. And moving on with the news, Zoho Sign has added a very specific integration with a product called eMudhra. And this basically is just they're continuing to the entire digital signature certificate. Every company, every country has different requirements for what this has to be and what it is. And this is just one that is specific to India. So if you're in India, this is probably very good for you, I would assume.
Yeah, kind of another tacked on to the list we talked about maybe 2 weeks ago, where they've been building out all of these integrations that they need as each particular region or country kind of builds out their own requirements for validating an e-signature.
And then moving on with the news, we've got the Zoho Learn September 2021 roundup. We've covered a lot of this. You now have certificates. So upon the completion of the course, you'll get some certificates. You've got course branding. So you can kind of add a nice banner to the top of your course, set the colors, the themes, that kind of stuff. Pretty nice. This one I liked a lot. Question banks. I used to actually was over at CompTIA for a very long time, and they're a training and certification company. Actually, they're a trade association for IT partners. And this is really how testing and certification testing works. You'll have one question, and that question may have 15 answers or 15 different answers. Maybe 10 of them are wrong and 5 of them are right. And you can sort those so that basically throws in, here's the one correct one, and it's randomly going to throw in 4 wrong ones, right? So people taking the test can't do screenshots and kind of pass that along. And if I'm reading this correctly, it sounds like, it says quizzes be created with questions randomly drawn from topics in the question bank. So that kind of takes us to the next level.
Yeah, and I actually was playing around with Zoho Learn as we wanted to record a couple different videos on it, and it's pretty great. A couple little things are a little funky when you get started with it, just how it's laid out and where to find what you're trying to work on. But a really, really full-featured tool. And this is definitely nice to have. There's going to be plenty of times that you're going to want to reuse a question in multiple different places. Maybe you have level 1 and level 2 developers. And if someone's going to enter at any of those levels, there might be some questions that you have in common between those different tests you want them to take. So just going to save you the effort of having to duplicate any work, right? And if you fill up that bank first and then start creating your courses, you'll just save yourself some time.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about Zoho Learn a little bit later on in the show as well. All righty. And then this is our subscriptions. Actually, what's new in subscriptions in October? So these are things we actually haven't covered. Pretty interesting. You can activate trials and then convert them to live at any point during the trial period.
And this is all in the customer portal, to be clear too. This is portal. Your customer on a trial can log in and actually activate, basically say, yep, I am done with my trial. I want to go live during that trial period.
Yeah. And then I love this. I don't think many customers would do that. I think they'd probably want to keep their trial, but the extended trials is super nice. So if a customer is evaluating it, they're not quite done, you can give them the ability to go ahead and extend their trial another week, another 14 days, whatever you want to set up. So that's pretty good as well. And then better management of subscriptions.
Yep. And again, I think this here is also in the customer portal. So you're able to actually edit your subscription, toggle if you want it to auto charge. If you had an upcoming cancellation that was scheduled, you could remove it if you wanted to. You could actually reactivate an existing subscription without having to get in touch with the company providing it. So lots of updates there, seemingly all or mostly around the customer portal, which is really nice.
Yeah, good stuff. All righty. And then let's move on with the rest of the news. We've got the CRM Community Digest. We talk about this a lot. This just came out 4 days ago. And this basically rounds up everything that kind of happened in CRM and then talks about some community discussions and those kind of things. One thing I did notice in this that I don't know if we covered was that you can now do announcements inside of Zoho CRM. So kind of nice. You can actually have an announcement. It kind of comes up a little differently under the announcements tab. You can have the dates of these announcements. So kind of just general, I think we use Click a lot for this kind of thing to just do a general announcement. But if you want something that's maybe a little more sticky and doesn't roll off the page, that's a pretty nice feature. And I'm pretty sure we didn't cover that.
Yeah, I think out of the rest of these, I think we caught them all, but I don't think we covered the announcements. So that's a good catch out here.
Pretty cool. And then one of our favorite CRM Zen fans, Kevin Flynn, he gets another shout out in this one. And he talked about the ability to change a label display name of a system defined field. This is a really cool trick. We've actually used it for a lot longer than I thought. I went back and looked, but this is something we stumbled upon, I guess, around 8 months ago. And if you go into settings and translations, and he'll step you through this on a step-by-step, if you go look at that, it tells you how you can change those fields. So, if you've got shipping address, that's system defined, right? Or other address, you can actually go into this very long text file and find that field, edit it, give it a new name, and that name will appear in the CRM. And we actually did a video tutorial on this. If you go to our Zoho CRM 2021 product overview and tutorial, or full product tutorial, there's a timestamp on there for translations. And if you go to that translations timestamp, Tyler and I will step you through this entire process as well. So that's a big one, and most people don't know about it.
Yeah, definitely a little bit tricky when you go into that text file, but you want to follow either Kevin's video or Kevin's walkthrough or one of ours just to make sure you don't break anything in there. But once you've got them changed over, it'll apply, all throughout the CRM for you.
Yeah, really good stuff there. All righty then. And then moving on, Zoho Backstage has their September 2021 updates. I went through this. I think we covered all of these. You've got the new cookie policy management. Did you look through here? Was there anything we missed, or did we get them all?
I think there's a couple little quality of life improvements here down at the bottom. You can now have the same host be a part of multiple tracks. I think that one's kind of necessary, right? That if you had, maybe you're saying there's 2 different rooms, right, that are going to have all these different courses, you might have the same host kind of jumping between those. And so they've enabled that now. You can now remove hosts from a track or a hall. Previously, I guess you couldn't. Once they were assigned, that was done. So a couple little quality of life things there, but nothing too crazy for Backstage in this round of updates.
And Bigin is, we just keep getting more and more Bigin updates. They kind of went quiet there for a while, but now they're back. Most of this is around iOS 15. So iOS 15 really changed the way you can display notifications to your users. And this is just a continuation of that. So when you get a pop-up notification, you can get a lot more detail in it. And so Zoho basically is taking advantage of those kind of things in the notification alerts. You can do things right from within that notification action. So good stuff.
Yeah, and that's pretty cool. I mean, we oftentimes set that up where, maybe you've got a task in the CRM and you don't want to have it send an email, but you want it to do a little pop-up or signal notification once it's, a day before it's due, right? And it looks like that's what's actually pulling into these notifications are those like on-platform reminders. So really nice to be able to see that from the phone, just pull it up, know who is about, what the task is, and then be able to act on it from there.
Yeah, all the Android users will scoff at us iOS guys, but I'm starting to enjoy the widgets more and more, and the customization of the pop-ups. There's a lot you can do there, and they're really really handy. All right, and moving on with yet more news. This is kind of our Q3 updates. So this is a roundup of everything that happened kind of the Q3 of last year. We will start with Zoho Expense. Basically some changes around project-based budget, custom field usage, and then iOS 15 and what you can do with that. I kind of looked through this, Tyler. These are nice little, I guess, like you said, quality of life improvements. Was there anything else that jumped out at you?
Yeah, little things here. I mean, new workflow triggers. So, if you have a lookup field, you can now use that as a component for a workflow trigger. One that I do want to highlight that I actually think a lot of people would use is you can set up a workflow around a policy violation. So if some type of expense was submitted outside of particular policies that you have set up within expense, you could actually trigger a workflow and maybe send an email or in-app notification, a click message, right? If there's a particular type of policy violation that's identified. So that's pretty nice. I mean, that's one that I could definitely imagine lots of people wanting to use, right?
Yeah, because most people use Zoho Expense on their phones. And then to get that immediate notification on your phone that, this isn't going to happen, you're not going to get paid for this. Go back and try again. It's probably not a horrible idea. And then moving along, Zoho Recruit. We talked about this. It got the all new resume extractor, super sweet. Just good stuff. The survey integration, again, a great thing. Communication through Click, new web forms.
I think we covered most of these here.
We have. I thought about the email scheduling.
Big up. That's one of those, what do we used to call that section? Things we thought were there. I would imagine that would have already been there, but nice that it is now. You can now schedule emails through Zoho Recruit.
Although Zoho Recruit is a little odd on emails and that it only supports POP.
It does. It's a little baffling, Yeah.
So it supports POP and, so you have to actually, most POP's turned off most of the time on most servers nowadays. You'll have to go enable POP on the back end. We've talked about that. I'm sure it's going to move to IMAP at some point in time. All righty. And then lastly, but leastly, the Zoho projects got an update. Tyler, what do we got? Or their Qs?
So it's kind of, their quarterly roll up here. Enhanced click integration. So they've kind of given you the ability to have that chat bar pop up within Zoho inventory. Built out an integration for Zoho Mail. So if you are using Zoho Mail and Zoho Inventory, you'll actually be able to see those mails in a related list inside of inventory. So more visibility never hurts there. Kind of a similar thing for Outlook. It looks like pulling in those emails into the related list. Couple extra new default reports, nothing too crazy there.
I do like the ABC classification report though. That's kind of cool. So you can basically, I think they're calling it an ABC, but it seems to me that this is just what's your best products, right? Which ones are driving the most revenue, which ones are not. But interesting. And then fulfilled by Amazon.
Yes, now you're able to actually treat a sales channel as being fulfilled by Amazon, which is really nice if you are using their marketplace integrations.
Yeah, good stuff. All right. Actually, we were talking projects. This was inventory update. I think I said projects, didn't I?
I think you said inventory. I think you got it.
All right. So this is our Zoho inventory update. And with that, we will move on to Zoho projects quarterly update as well. By the way, they're saying that they completed 15 years since they launched projects, and with the latest UI of 7.0, that team has been on fire this year and again last quarter with a lot of nice changes. But again, we talked on these on previous shows. Anything you want to highlight?
I think the one that we may have not caught here was actually up at the top. Basically, if you're looking at your resource utilization chart, which if you are like really a power user of Zoho projects, you're probably using this a lot, right? When you have all these scheduled tasks, estimated hours, estimated start and due dates, you can now actually assign or reassign tasks from that view. So if you're to pull up a particular task and realize, based on this resource utilization chart, this is really unlikely to get done by this person on this day, you can go ahead and move it over to someone else. So nice there. I mean, it's just a little thing, but rather than having to jump over to that task, move it, come back to resource utilization, refresh it, and now see the change that you made. Just being able to do it from there will help.
A nice little color coding on this. So they're, they use an example on the image here of, Raina Chung, and she's working 231 hours this month, which is a little much. So you might want to sign some stuff off of there. So good stuff there. And with that, Tyler, what do we have for our implementation of the week?
So this is an implementation that kind of builds on ones that we've talked about in the past. It's basically a way to integrate Zoho Sign over to Workdrive through the CRM. And this one particularly focuses on completed documents. So once they've been signed by one or both parties, depending on what type of document you're working with. So as we've talked about before, you can programmatically send Zoho Sign documents from the CRM via deluge functions. So they can grab any of the data that you need, fill it into the document, and either create it as a draft or just go ahead and send it out through Zoho Sign. We've also talked about in the past implementations to basically create a Workdrive folder for every single contact or account in your CRM automatically. But there's kind of this last step where once a Zoho Sign document is completed and it's got both signatures on it, right? We probably want to park that somewhere that's easy to access from the CRM record. And so basically what we're able to do here is, as long as you've got a Workdrive folder for each of your contacts or accounts, once that Zoho Sign document is completed, it can actually trigger an automation based on the actual completion, not just one signature. And then you can kind of path this a lot of different ways, depending on how you've set up the previous steps. But one possible way that you could then get this to Workdrive is basically by taking that recipient's email address, finding that matching contact in the CRM, and then pulling either from their related account or just from that contact, the relevant information about their Workdrive folder. Then from there, now we've basically got the document and the folder. And in that same piece of code, we can just upload that completed document and the completion certificate, if you wanted it from Zoho Sign, into that Workdrive folder automatically.
There's so much you can do with Zoho Sign. You can progress deal stages along. I mean, we do that. So, you send something out, you've got proposal sent or contract sent, and maybe that's a stage inside your deal. And then when they sign it, it will automatically move to contract received, onboarding, whatever you want, and then fire off any workflows that you need to do from there. You can really do some great automation around Zoho Sign. This kind of takes it. I think right now we're doing everything but this internally.
Yep.
That's probably something we should add down the road. Anyway, great stuff. And with that, let's move on to this week's read. I found this one over on the Zapier blog. I think Vanu over at Nimbus Designs turned us on to the Zapier blog. We've had him co-host 2 or 3 shows, and he was saying there's some great stuff over here. So lately I've been checking in there as well. And this is how to self-edit a 5-step process. So what is this is basically if you're writing an article, you're writing a manual, you're writing a blog, whatever it may be, and you're really the only person that's going to look at it, which is just so dangerous when you write anything. But if you're going to do that, what can you do to make sure that you can edit your own copy and get the most out of it? And really, it's just got some great tips in here. Wait if you can. Give it a day, sleep on it before, write it, and then just say, you know what, I'm going to look at it in the morning. I'm going to give it a whole new look. Just how's it organized? How's it put together? It's just a lot of different things there. Great tips, on simplifying, cutting it down, reworking it, simplifying it. I love this one. He says, use Control F to find filler words. And after changing in order to just 2 about 100 times, he thinks he's finally got it. So some good stuff here. I don't know if you got anything.
Yeah, the one I like out of here is using text to speech. I used to do that a lot back in a previous life when I worked. I actually used to run a little chemistry lab at the college that I went to. We made polymers, and I'd have to write a lot of papers and summaries and things like that. And for me, when it gets into technical writing, my writing skills start to struggle and things get really wordy when I try to explain a technical process in writing. And so for me, I could only ever really catch when I had written myself into a rabbit hole by using a text to speech. So I used to just have it run through every time before I would ever show something to other people to make sure I could hear it. Because once you've written something, it's hard to read it. You kind of read what you meant to write, not what you actually wrote. At least that's how I am.
You actually add or delete words when you're reading it in your brain because it's what you meant, and it's not the same. And the other thing about this article, it's got a ton of links. I mean, this is a highly linked document, so it's got a link to a free text-to-speech reader. It's got something I've never seen here, but I want to try it out, called the Hemingway Editor, which will seek out your hard-to-read sentences. That's just the greatest name. Hemingway was so concise in everything he wrote. So good stuff. Give it a read. And just in time for the holidays, over at Zenata.com, we have got 8 marketing tips to bolster your holiday campaign. And we will step you through basically things you need to do, using marketing. Make sure you're using Zoho campaigns, do A/B testing, get your holiday calendar together, take advantage of data analytics to see what's working and what's not, promote your holiday product categories, use advanced scheduling, which is super nice on your daily offers. When should things go out? How should they go out? Of course, drop everything back down into the CRM, use a countdown timer so you can, get that sense of urgency in the things you're doing. And of course, always have your engaging content with some nice holiday templates. So nice job by the team there. All right. And with that, Tyler, let's go to our pick of the week. So we've been talking about power dialers more than I think we have a long time lately with some certain customers. So there is, what's the big one? Phone burner?
Yeah. And I think a quick background with, a power and auto dialer, with telephony and the CRM, your normal workflows, you kind of have your list of leads, you click on the phone number, you place the call, you log it through the call record, and you move to the next one. What a power and auto dialer is I select all 100 leads in my view. I click the start dialing button, and then everything just happens for me, right? So the minute that one call completes, 5 seconds later, the next call starts, right? You're airdropping in pre-recorded voicemails, right? You're shooting out email follow-ups automatically. It's basically just a way to get through a call list a lot faster than going one by one. And like you're saying, we've tried a lot of different options. There's a really strong tool called Phone Burner that can plug in with things like RingCentral and Twilio. It does a great job, airtight Zoho integration, but it's about $250 per user per month, right around in that ballpark. We also looked at the RingCentral auto dialer for the CRM. That's got an upfront ticket price of $29,000, I think, to get it all set up.
Yeah, we had a client that wanted to get it done for about 15 users. I'm not sure the user count mattered, but their integration team will set it up perfectly integrated into Zoho CRM. It's interesting, though, you are actually using a whole separate web tab. But everything you do gets written back to the CRM. It pulls the list from the CRM. It does all of that and writes it. But $29,000, and as kind of we were discussing pre-show, you were making a great point. You said, yeah, that's a lot of money, but not if you had X number of people. You were going to use Phone Burner, right? And that's 20. Let's say that's $3,000 a year, right? So if you had 10 employees, the integration would completely pay off for itself in a year. If you were using, if you just decided to stay with RingCentral. But this one is different. This is Kixi. And when I look and I try to find these picks of the weeks, I'm really looking for 5-star reviews. And this one has 63 5-star reviews. That's basically 100%. Looks like maybe one of them gave him 4. It looks like there's just one of the tips of one of these stars might be a little white. And it's written by Kixi. And kind of like a little pro tip here. When you're going through the Zoho marketplace, if you can find an integration that was written by the vendor, it's usually very good. Because they know what they're doing on their back end, and it's usually a really good thing to do. So this one's written by Kixi. It is paid because you have to have a Kixi license, but other than that, I think you're good to go. And wow, I mean, all I can say is if you're using Kixi or if you're looking for a power dialer, this looks like a great application. By the way, one of the better marketplace screenshots I've seen, right? I mean, they're really kind of telling you what you've got here and how it goes, and they're showing you this integration.
Now, I guess with this, if we look at the screenshot at the top, are you calling one lead at a time, or are you grabbing a list of leads? Because that's kind of the question, right?
Well, it's
Here, it looks like you're doing
dialer.
start call to one person.
Well, that really wouldn't be an auto dialer, a power caller, right? So,
Yeah, that's kind of the
in
question
reading through the descriptions, I got the impression it was completely a power caller all the way around. If we go through the overview here, it's an auto dialer directly from Zoho workflows on, on email opens, new leads, or any Zoho trigger event. One-click dialing, automatic voice drop, AI. I don't know. It does say it's an auto dialer, though.
Interesting. I have to poke around with it a little bit.
I know if it does what we would hope it would do, it's a great application. I haven't had a chance to play with it. We use Kixi. Gosh darn, when did we try them out? 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago?
More like 6 months ago, 8 months ago.
Was that all it was?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Time flies.
I guess it moves slower than I think. I guess. I don't know. And we had just a few little issues with them. I can't remember. I think there were some integration issues that we were running into, but this, who knows? I mean, I don't see a lot of Zoho apps with 63 5-star reviews or marketplace applications. So if you're thinking about it, give it a try. Let us know how it works. We'd love to know. All righty. And then that brings us to our tip of the week. Tyler, your timing was perfect on this. Our marketing team said we need to do something on Zoho Learn because there doesn't seem to be anything out there. And that sure seems to be the case, judging by the feedback we got on this. So how many, this is the first of a series on Zoho Learn. How many did you do?
I've got 3 so far. I might do another 1 or 2, depending on if people kind of ask some questions about the additional functionality. So this one, we kind of walked through the first steps in Zoho Learn. I will say, and I griped about this to the team, the labels at the top of the page aren't really in the right order that you should go through Zoho Learn in. So, spaces is kind of on the far right, even though that's where you want to start. So in this one, we kind of walk through setting up a space. What does that mean, right? It's basically a place that you can share to users that you're going to load a variety of content into. Then we go through, creating different manuals, why you want more than one manual in a space, how to organize those manuals, and then kind of how to deploy it from there. In the following videos, we'll be talking through actually creating the content, as well as creating courses and assessments inside of Zoho Learn, because that's kind of part of this application as well.
So nice stuff in here. So it looks like, do you think when you're done with your little tutorial series that basically anybody can kind of get going with it?
Yeah, especially with Zoho Learn, it's nothing you got to custom code or anything like that. It's just when you open it up for the first time, it's kind of like a totally blank page. If you're looking at our screen here, there's not a lot of guidance in what you should really do first when you open it up. If you go to the Zoho Learn website, it actually does give kind of a good top down of how things are organized. But yeah, this should kind of get you going. By the end of these couple of videos, you should feel pretty good about using Zoho Learn.
Fantastic. And as always, head over to Zonata.com. We're in the middle of a major YouTube revamp right now where we're trying to organize things a little better. We're pulling a lot of stuff into the CRM and we're organizing it there as well. But then we're also reorganizing, we're up over 250 videos or something like that now. And it's kind of time for us to get that all cleaned up. So hopefully you find it well organized, but we think it's going to get a little better organized for you as we go through more color coding so you can kind of figure out what you're looking for and those kind of things. And with that, let's get to our Q&A. All right, let's start with Zoho Learn. We got our first question came in and they wanted to know, is it part of Zoho One?
Yep, it is part of Zoho One. You should be able to add it from your Zoho One admin panel. If you can't yet, just shoot an email to support@zoho1.com and they'll get you sorted. It's kind of going through a phased rollout. I think it should be available for just about everyone by now.
And I don't feel, I was going to say, don't feel bad about this. We, needed to upgrade. I'm like, gosh, we need to get into Zoho One. And we contacted Zoho and they said, yeah, just go into Zoho One and click add application. It's there. So it'll be an orphan application just sitting there because you think, oh, I've added everything to Zoho One. But they're not automatically, when they release a new application, they're not automatically putting it in your instance. It's there under the application. So if you're a company that maybe set up Zoho 1 and only turned on 6 applications, you'll see if you go to add applications, you've got 30 more you can put in, 35. So it'll be in that group, and you can find it and go ahead and add it. And then lastly, he wants to know when the new Zoho 1 dashboard will drop.
Kind of rolling it out in phases. We've started to see it pop into client accounts. They don't really have a fixed end date that they've provided to us when they're expecting it will be out for everybody.
And I think we've given a lot of feedback on it. It seems to be a love-hate relationship with those that are in beta. Some people absolutely love it. Some people don't at all. I think we're on opposite sides of that fence. I kind of like it. You're kind of like, I don't know. But it is, it's nice. Like, you can rearrange the jewels on the side. If you have ever used CRM Plus or you're a CRM Plus user, it's basically giving you that kind of an experience, but with, 50 applications, 45 applications. So pretty good. Soon, I think that will be coming out. All right. And to the next question. Oh boy. So JB Chambers wants to know, is Zoho Campaigns now Zoho Marketing Automation? This, I think, is one of the more confusing things in the world of Zoho. So Zoho basically has 2 marketing automation platforms. These are things that send out emails, SMS, text messages, all those kind of things. Zoho Campaigns was first. And then April of 2019, Zoho Marketing Hub was released, which has since been rebranded Zoho Marketing Automation. Tyler, we've got a lot of thoughts on these 2. They are currently 2 separate products. I don't know if they're going to end up being one product or not. Zoho Marketing Automation does have some key features that HubSpot would have, and maybe MailChimp and Constant Contact. It's got some extra features in it that aren't in Zoho Campaigns. We find Zoho Campaigns to be a little more rock solid. I don't know, how would you sum up this?
Well, yeah, they're in a weird place right now. Where marketing automation is going to go is more of an umbrella product approach. So right now, Zoho Campaigns just does the email and SMS sending. Marketing automation does the email sending, the SMS sending, as well as things like goal tracking on the website and click-through tracking and all those types of things. What they're going to be doing is Zoho Campaigns will become the engine that kind of runs the email part of Zoho Marketing Automation, right? And I know they're going to rope in kind of PageSense, potentially SalesIQ as well to become some of these components of marketing automation. Now, if you're just a campaigns user, just a SalesIQ user, should not affect your experience at all. It's just going to be an umbrella that you can use to kind of tie together some of those other tools more cleanly.
My hope for this, and we've recommended it, is one product, Zoho Marketing Automation, and you've got your professional version, which would say be campaigns, right? Your enterprise version, which has more of the marketing automation, and maybe an ultimate or pro or whatever they want to call it, that maybe has some other features, or just 2 flavors, right? But it really should be one product. It is so similar in so many ways, and so we'll see what happens there. All right, next question. Does RingCentral have an auto dialer function? They do.
Yes, for the low price of $29,000.
Yeah. So Ray, if you watch this webinar, your question was answered earlier, and that decision's up to you. Like we say, if you've got a really big team, it might pay off for you. So take a look at that. All righty. And then Shields Productions wants to know, how do you create an avatar photo in Zoho Mail? When I'm sending my email, my profile photo shows nothing. So if you're watching, I'll step you through this. If you are listening, I'll step you through it as well. I'll just explain what I'm doing. So if you go into Zoho Mail and you click on Settings, and then in the very first box in the upper left-hand corner is My Account, go ahead and click on Personal Information, and that's going to take you to your profile, where you will see basically the ability to change your avatar, change your picture, change whatever you want there. So you can just click on that picture. You can upload a new, remove the old one, do whatever you want with it. Fairly simple, but just again, settings, personal information, and you can change your setting right there. Pretty straightforward. All righty. And then what's the next question, Tyler?
This is a question from Andrew Thomas on a video that we did on the new motivator. Basically asking, does motivator have any cheering or clapping sounds for when a sales rep closes a deal? Ideally, we want to be able to showcase their sale on the TV for others to see. I don't think it does any sounds. They do have a variety of TV dashboards that you can kind of, create some KPIs, create some little, targets, and then drop them onto a rotating, TV optimized dashboard. But I don't think there's any sounds that are involved with it just quite yet.
All righty. And our next question here, also on Zoho Learn, and you're creating spaces and manuals. Paridi asks you, hi, Tyler, great video. Please help me with the differences and the pros and cons between Zoho Learn, Zoho People LMS module, and Trainer Central.
Sure. So Zoho Learn and the Zoho People LMS module are very similar. Zoho Learn is kind of like a more streamlined version. The Zoho People LMS has some additional things like rooms, and it kind of expands a lot on top of Learn, but the course management is really similar. The big thing there is that Zoho Learn and Zoho People are both designed for internal use, right? So not something you could really like monetize that course and share it externally. Trainer Central is kind of like a multimedia platform for monetizing the knowledge, right? So if I wanted to do a paid webinar that I'm going to provide some content, I'm going to follow up with the webinar with some type of certification test and, put them into a multi-course process that we're going to plan over the course of a few weeks. That's where you would look at something like Trainer Central. So for the internal ones, the Zoho Learn, the Zoho People, the pros and cons there is Zoho Learn is going to be a lot easier to use. And you don't have to go into People to use it. So if you're not already using Zoho People, it might be easier not to have to roll that out just to build the LMS. If you are kind of deep in Zoho People, you might want to try out the Zoho People one first because it is kind of the most full featured between the two.
All right. And that wraps it up, Tyler. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. If you have any questions or comments, please head over to Zenata.com and drop us a line.
And on the website is where you'll find complete episodes as well as show notes with links to the stories we discussed today. As always, you can follow us on your favorite social media platform and subscribe to us on your favorite podcast app, as well as on YouTube. We'll see you next Monday.